Competitors talking trash on the grid. Only one guy I wanna be, that's a bit.
All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to crack open one of the most important, but maybe one of the most confusing parts of your LO206 kart setup, the clutch. We're going to turn this thing from a total black box into a tool you can actually use to go faster, consistently. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. One weekend, your kart is just an absolute rocket off the corners. The next weekend, different track, and it just feels lazy. It won't pull. You didn't change the engine, so what on earth is going on? It's a super common and super frustrating problem.
And the culprit? Well, it's almost always hiding right there in plain sight, bolted to the side of your engine. It's that centrifugal clutch, and more importantly, it's about how that clutch is playing with the specific track you're on at that very moment.
So let's start with the big one, the corner exit problem. The whole idea here is that you absolutely cannot think about your clutch without thinking about the track. They're totally connected. This right here is the heart of it all. See, we get obsessed with engine RPM, but the clutch is feeling the tug of war between the engine's RPM and how fast that rear axle is actually turning. A fast, flowing corner and a tight stop-and-go hairpin might have the exact same minimum RPM on your dash, but the load, the actual axle speed, is worlds apart. That's the variable that makes your perfect setup from last week feel so wrong today.
And that brings us to a huge myth that floats around the pits. It's time to tackle this idea of a single magic number for your clutch.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Hey, what springs are you running? What RPM is your clutch set to? We're all digging for that one perfect number, that silver bullet that's going to make us fast everywhere.
Well, here's the simple, honest truth. You got to stop looking for it. There is no single magic number. Instead, all of your focus should be on the slowest corner of the track you are on right now. That one corner dictates everything. Why? Because that's where the engine is under the most stress and where it needs the most help from the clutch to claw its way back into the power band.
So this is where we need to totally reframe how we think about this. If it's not about a magic RPM, what is it about?
Well, it's about a concept called controlled slip.
Just let that sink in for a second. A centrifugal clutch is designed to slip. That is literally its job. Trying to get rid of all the slip is not the goal. The real secret is managing that slip perfectly to get the best possible launch out of the corner.
Okay, so what does controlled slip actually mean in the real world? It means you want the clutch to slip just enough to let the engine rev up freely right into the happy part of its power band as you're exiting that slow corner. Then, and only then, do you want it to lock up, bam, and transfer all that power to the wheels without bogging the engine down. It's a really delicate dance.
And when that dance goes wrong, it usually fails in one of two ways. If the clutch locks up too early, you get that horrible bogging feeling where the engine just feels like it hits a wall. On the other hand, if it locks up too late, you hear the engine screaming its head off, but the car isn't really going anywhere. You're just spinning your wheels, wasting time. Sound familiar? I bet it does.
Okay, so we've got the theory. Now let's get practical. How do you take this to the track and actually make it work? What does this feel like?
Here's your checklist. This is what you're aiming for from the driver's seat. When the clutch is just right, the engine sounds crisp, and the RPMs just climb smoothly when you get on the gas. The kart should literally surge forward the instant you touch the throttle, with no bog, no hesitation. That feeling, that's your target.
But here's the cool part. You don't have to rely on just your gut feeling. If you're running a Micron or any kind of data logger, you basically have a superpower for figuring out your clutch. And trust me, you don't need to be a data engineer for this. Just follow these 3 simple steps. In your data software, zoom right in on that slowest corner. Find the exact point where your speed bottoms out and you get back on the throttle. Then, just watch what the RPM and speed lines do for the next couple of seconds. That's it.
When you look, you're going to see one of 3 things. You see that big spike in RPM, but the speed line is kind of lazy and doesn't follow? That's too much slip. Or, how about a sharp dip in the RPM trace right when you hit the gas? That's your clutch locking too early and dragging the engine down. What you're looking for, the holy grail, is this third graph. A beautiful, smooth recovery where the RPM line and the speed line climb up together like they're holding hands.
So here's the key to making this all work. You have to be methodical. Instead of just guessing and chucking a different color spring in there, make one small, repeatable change. Go out, do a few laps, come in, and check your data. See what happened. This disciplined approach is what separates the people at the front from everyone else.
So, the next time you go to the track, you've got a whole new way to think. Your clutch isn't some set-it-and-forget-it part. It's a tuning tool, and it's dynamic. It's not about finding a magic number. It's about finding the right amount of controlled slip for that one slow corner on that particular day.
Long ride home after breakfast.